Plugged in together, here's what's new. From a co-op straight to you. Helpful info to keep you in the loop.
Welcome back to In the Loop. I'm your host, Taylor, and today I have Dwayne Howell on the podcast with me. He's a general foreman here at Coweta-Fayette EMC. Welcome to the podcast, Dwayne.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So can you tell us what your role here is and what's your day-to-day look like?
I'm over the underground maintenance department, between issuing out jobs, checking on my crews.
It's spring, it's getting warmer weather, and a lot of people are planning and thinking about planting pretty flowers, trees, bushes in their yard. And a lot of times what we see is, people see those green boxes in their yard and they're like, okay, let me put some flowers around it to maybe help it look a little better. So let's talk about what those are and why we're not supposed to plant beside them. What exactly is an underground transformer and why are they commonly located in a residential yard?
Well, we've got two mainline voltages, 7,200 and 14,400 volts. But it steps it down to 240 where it can be used in the house. And we'll typically do 4 to 6 six houses at each transformer.
Mm.
So, depending on where you live, you may or may not have a transformer in your yard, but we try to keep the distance down from the house to the transformer because the voltage drop.
And roots feel harmless to most of us, but what can they actually do to that underground equipment?
They can wrap around our wires. They can grow up inside the transformers. So, and even if you cut them down, they still come back in a lot of cases, and they grow into our underground cables.
And can you kind of talk more about, something as simple as a bush or a flower? How does that result in an outage?
Well, one thing, it makes it harder to get into the transformers if you have an outage. We install fault indicators on the front of the transformers to help us identify where the problem is. So if we can't get into the transformer, we have to take the time to cut trees from around the transformers. It extends the outage for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of times we'll have to pull the connections off in transformers. There's all sorts of hazards associated with it. Plus, it keeps the air from circulating around the transformers and cooling them. So there's a multitude of reasons. A bush can grow into the roots can grow into our wire, and if it breaks the insulation, it'll eventually break down and you'll wind up with half power or voltage problems. And then blocking that transformer, we can't work in it because we've got 8-foot sticks that we use to pull the connections off in the transformers, and we have to be able to reach inside of it. Ant beds are a problem too.
And what are some common things you see when you're going to an outage or just maintenance on these transformers? Were you commonly seeing the problems when you have plants, fences, anything around the transformers?
Well, if it's a fence, we've got to figure out whether we got to take it down, cut it, and of course we try to be careful with it. We try not to, cause too big a mess, but unfortunately in the middle of the night and you're trying to get people's lights back on, it makes it more complicated.
Right, yeah. Just trying to do your job as quickly as possible.
That's right.
And what's a general clearance guidelines homeowners should follow?
There's a sticker on the front of those transformers that says 8 feet in the front and 2 foot on the sides.
Mm-hmm.
That gives us room to work. If we need to change the transformer out, we can.
And the best first step someone can always take if they're planning to plant near a transformer or in a utility area is always call 811 before you dig. And Dwayne, what do you think is the most common thing homeowners misunderstand about planting near the underground transformers?
I know they'd rather look at their flowers instead of the transformer. It still, to me, looks a lot better than the overhead poles.
Yeah.
The predominance of our work is underground now.
Right.
And it's a lot more complicated at times if you have to replace the wire or whatever than it is poles. No, I think they don't understand what it goes into to keep the lights on. And when we pull that connection off in that transformer, there's 14,000 volts on the end of that stick. You really don't want your plants.
Right.
I got my eyes burnt
Yeah.
at White Oak 14.4, and it was a pampas grass.
Pampas grass.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And then ant beds are a problem too, because that's what one of the things my inspectors look for when they're going through. A lot of people say, "Well, nobody's been through here in years." I've got inspection crews that we're trying to get through every 5 years of all of our equipment,
Mm-hmm.
and so we're finding a lot of things that try to find the problems before they exist.
Right. What kind of problems can pop up when people plant trees or shrubs too close to the transformer?
Sometimes trying to find the transformer. That's just fine. Or we've got some places, and I've addressed most of them that I know about, where you couldn't even see the transformer. You'd have to cut 10 feet back just to get to the transformer.
Mm.
Trees growing up against the front of the transformer. You couldn't open the lid.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't realize how hard it is with the bushes and trees and fences in the way, and even fences be it harder than probably some of the bushes.
And if homeowners could take away just one message from this conversation, what would you want that to be?
We're doing us all a favor,
Mm-hmm.
because if we're out there cutting those trees in front of their transformer, it's going to save their the outage time, because nobody wants their power to go out, and we certainly don't want it to go out. So I'd rather address it when it's not out than when it is.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Dwayne,
Sure.
for joining us on the podcast. And that's it for today. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe and share it with a friend. I'm Taylor, and thank you for listening to In the Loop, and we'll see you next time.
Helpful info to keep you in the loop.